Friday. That which the world has never seen can be seen today, and you can be the cause. I'm Witch Naima, and I'm here to help Magical Melanin Witches come into full power so they can do the work they were born to do and be paid well in the process. So today's topic is full power through genital arousal. Yeah. Full power through genital arousal. I'd like to remind you to like this video and do all the things that, like subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And there's a bell, like when you click subscribe, there's a bell right there that you click so that when I go live, you get a notification immediately in the event that you prefer live action. So I'm so delighted to be here. I have, before I get into the content, I'd like for you to know, and I'm so excited to share, that the link, the webpage for the Magic Tour, okay, change the name. It's called the Magic Tour. It is live and it will be placed beneath this video within an hour after I'm done here today, most likely within half an hour, but give myself some space. So for those of you who are in and around Atlanta, Orlando, New York City, Chicago, Houston, and Oakland, and you are hungry to get off of social media and YouTube and the online world and physically gather and conjure power with Magical Melanin Witches who, you know, if she's drawn to me, right? He or she is drawn to me, and they invest the time, money, energy to come to an event, intimate event like this. Wow, right? What a profound, like I'm excited. Like my ticket has already been bought to Atlanta, and the profoundness is just, so that link to check out details will be pasted beneath this video. And if you are already on the email list, that link went out this morning. And further communication will go out to those who are in my email community. So if you're not already in my email community, there will also be a link beneath this video where you can subscribe and get stuff that I only share with my email community. One thing you're going to get is called 5 Bad Ways to Begin Commanding Larger Amounts of Money as a Magical Melanin Witch. So if you're not already on my list, when you subscribe with the link beneath this video, which will be pasted here when I'm done, then you'll get that report along with all the other things that my email subscriber community exclusively receives. Okay, so today's topic. So you're always, well, often, right? Always is subjective. But what I have found in coming into full power myself, what I have found in working with women all over the world, you know, men have it in a different kind of way, right? Because the patriarchal structure and religion poisons men and women very differently. It's the same like wound, but it's the wound is, you know, developed differently with men than it is with women. And so what I have found with working with so many women over the years, and for those of you who may be here for the first time, let me give a little background. So I have been in the transformation industry for a decade now. Time flies, a decade now. And so I started in 2011, and my focus was really courage and general courage, general empowerment. And it wasn't until 2014 that I got specifically into helping women, not necessarily entrepreneurs, but women heal sexual trauma and heal sexual shame. And then moving forward, after I really grew in that domain and just had a lot of fulfillment and made some good money, I went on to helping women entrepreneurs step into their power with money, because what I found in helping women heal is that the healing is a means to living. That's really what they heal. We don't heal just to heal. We heal because we want to live more. We want to feel more. We want to be fulfilled. We want to make more money. We want to be in a particular relationship. We want to have a certain kind of reality in our life that the wound is disallowing us to be able to live and make decisions and feel. And so in this time when I was focusing on helping women heal sexual trauma, this woman contacted me, because online marketing, right? You guys, there's just, for those of you who don't already know, you can do 6 figures and more online and live anywhere in the world. I and many of my clients, former clients, are proof of that. So anyway, this woman found me in my online marketing, Black woman from the South. And her issue was she had been engaged to a man and she was feeling very sexual. Now, this is a woman who, like many Black folk who were raised in the South, was raised hardcore Christian, like in the church multiple times a week as a kid, and was really raised up that way. And so whenever she would feel sexual things toward a man, like a desire to have sex or just felt aroused in her body, she always felt guilt, she always felt shame. And she was engaged to a man where this sensation in her body was just a lot. And so she broke off the engagement. Now, this is what she told me. Okay, so I'm sharing with you what she told me. And so she broke off the engagement. And so lo and behold, what you resist persists. Just because you leave a situation that's too intense for you, that feels too intense for you, just because you try to ignore it, or, you know, the things that we do when we are having a hard time dealing with the power of a thing, the sensation of a thing, the energy of a thing, the things we do to try to walk away and turn it off and shut the door, ignore it. You keep resisting that thing, especially when it's true for you, when it's really in you, it's in your subconscious, which you can never turn that thing off. It will torture you in your sleep. It'll find a way to get your attention, right? Lo and behold, she met another man, and the same thing happened, where she was feeling all this sensation and sexual energy, and she was feeling shame and all this, I'm bad because the Bible says this, and my pastor said this, and my mom is gonna think this, and I don't want people to think that I'm a slut and a whore and a this and a that. And so that's how she came to find me and hire me. And she was not the first woman to have these kind of feelings. I just remember her story specifically because I remember during that time, she was like the 3rd woman who had a similar story that had shown up in my world within like a week or 2. And I was just like, wow, you know, so many Black women who were raised up in whatever the religion is and feel they're sexual women. They feel like strong sexual energy. And they're feeling like the sexual energy feels like a bully, almost like, oh my, it's overwhelming. Like it's just so much and they don't know what to do with it. And then there's shame and embarrassment around it. And then like Black women don't typically talk intimately about sex and shame publicly. We might have like some general like girlfriend easy conversations on YouTube and wherever else publicly, but getting down into the nitty gritty of like true desire and true experiences and getting into the explicitness of what goes on in the head and in the body doesn't really happen. And so that's something that I was doing at the time. So a lot of women felt very comfortable coming to me, talking about shame and sex and what was happening with her clitoris and her nipples and right. And so in this work with this woman, a lot of it was around truth telling. Like, and I have said this, if you've seen the past several shows, it's telling physiological truth. And I'm going to back it up a little bit too. So I experienced sexual abuse as a little girl. And in the normal world, there's a path to follow, right? You go see a therapist, right? Right? You go see a therapist. They have healing books. There's all kind of books on the body and healing and you know, you might listen to this podcast, you might go to a retreat for women, a healing retreat, you might, right? There's things to do. And I did all those things. I started seeing a therapist when I was, like, I first started seeing a therapist when I was like 11 or 12. And then started seeing a therapist again when I was 17, 18. And when I came into like adulthood, right? Like I was like 20, when I started really paying attention to my sexuality and my spirituality and myself differently, I was about 24 years old, 23, 24 years old. And I had read the books, like, I'm like, it wasn't working for me. There was still a level of tension in my body. There was still a level of, if I let this show, like I talked about on the Shame, Shadow, and Power show that I did, I think that was last Wednesday, sometime last week. And you can go back and look at it. It's called Shame, Shadow, and Power. I talked about when I met this guy who I had never met before, who had a girlfriend, and I had this immediate desire to have sex with him, like overwhelming, something I had never felt before. And the level of embarrassment and shame I felt, and the exertion of energy that I used to contain the desire, to hide it, to make sure it didn't show. Okay, so let's pause and really frame that real quick. The level of energy, usage of my own energy to contain, to hold tight, to keep down this sensation that was running through my body. Can anybody relate, right? And I talked about what I did, right? Which was truth telling, physiological truth. Your head is where religion has planted all kinds of seeds about morality and what's right and wrong, what it means to be a modest woman. Up here, where you overthink and second think and second guess, and maybe when you already knew. I did another show last week where I talked about how to know if you're demonic. Your demonic self, which is your magic self, which is your divine self, knows like that. All this, well, let me go sit and think about it. Let me go pray, and let me go meditate, and let me just see how I feel, and let me go. That is shadow behavior, masked as being responsible and I'm thoughtful. I need to feel into it, right? I need to feel into this and make sure this is aligned with my higher self, and to make sure this is what really God wants for me. And so I need to go meditate, because that's how I do things. Because I know, right? Your demonic self knows like that. And what happens is everything that society has planted, everything that religion has planted, everything that everything your ex-husband planted. How about that? How about with that TikTok video you watched of that person you respect planted, and you decided to take that on as your own, and now that idea conflicts with the truth that's running through your body? How about that? So, physiological truth, which includes your nipples, which includes your clitoris, which includes your cervix, your vaginal walls, your anus, your back, your neck, your head, everything that feels tantalized when the truth starts streaming through your body. That's what I'm talking about. That's basically like the essential root of the work that I was doing with women and helping them heal sexual trauma, and frankly is what continues today, just in a different way, is learning how to allow that sensation, then letting it show on the, oh, it's levels, baby. Then letting it show, and really letting it show is not putting a lid on it. Letting it show in your marketing that you do online, whether it's in written form, video form, a podcast, letting it show in your relationship with other people, male, female, platonic, romantic, letting it show. Then deliberately wielding that power out into the world to produce a different result. For example, I was communing one night, maybe recently, sometime within the last 30 days, I was communing. And it came to me very clearly, go on tour. Like, it's time to start physically connecting, go on tour. And it's not even, anyway, it spoke to me in a very specific way, right? When I commune, it's all of me in communion. And I encourage you to do the same thing. Engage your body. It's not just a mental thing. I know mental is how we're encouraged, and mental matters. I am not downplaying mental at all. Mental highly matters. But if you try to think your way, logical your way into your, consistent, hell, 4-figure clients. I was going to say 5-figure, but if you think you're going to logically move through wherever you are financially to consistently securing 4-figure clients, to building a 6-figure business, to creating whatever it is you want to create, hiring these specific people, getting with a specific man, creating whatever, if you think you're just going to strategize your way logically, mentally to that, you're mistaken, darling. As a woman, okay, with a womb, one of the things that you will come into practice around, if you don't already, is learning to treat your womb, your demonic nature, your sexual self, treating it like gold, revering it. The world that we live in does not revere the womb. It does not revere divinity, which is your demonic self. It does not revere spiritual speed. This world reveres speed in commerce, like hurry up, be the first one to put that product out to the marketplace so we can be the first one to make $1 billion. But spiritual speed, divine speed, it's not, oh, I gotta go sit down and I gotta take my shadow. I have to consider my shadow self and my fear. And what if this happens? And I don't know if that's gonna, and then you think your way out of power. But when you take it down into your body, there's a book called The Body Keeps the Score. You heard of that book? The Body Keeps the Score. You can check on Amazon. The Body Keeps the Score. One of the points that's made in that book, and actually in other books too, that talk about healing at a body level, dealing with healing sexual trauma and somatic empowerment for those who work specifically in the domain of somatic, which is the body, right? Somatic power, somatic healing. There's The memory in the body, so it keeps the score. How many times have you, who was that who had that rap song? And he was like, oh, somebody know what I'm talking about. It might have been T-Pain. It might have been T-Pain where he talked about this girl he was with. She kept saying she didn't want to have sex, but her pussy was wet, her panties was wet. But she kept saying, no, I'm not horny, I want to have sex. The body keeps the score, baby. The body keeps the score. So when you give yourself full-on permission, okay? When you give yourself full permission to feel all of what you feel, and you relax your vaginal walls, as I'm doing right now, you deliberately, and when you check in with your body, you can see, okay, how does my pussy feel right now? What is my vagina doing right now? How does my clitoris feel right now? And you deliberately relax those things. And you can create like a 15-minute timer, some kind of timer to do this on purpose, to start to come into a physical space within yourself. I'm telling you, darling, I'm sharing this with you because this is what it's going to take to come into full power. The folks are not telling, who's telling us this, right? Very few people, right? You're not going to mantra yourself and to full power. You're not going to chakra yourself to full power and incense burn yourself to full. I mean, like all these things that the new age spirit. No, listen, I've been saying it all week. We're creating a new way, and you actually are not even receptive to the true, like purest electric. And I know this is not for most people, so I'm not going to even like open that up in that kind of a way. In order to, for those of you, okay, listen, thank you. So if you're in a space where you feel like you keep pushing up against a desire, you feel a heaviness in your manifestation, you are in a place of chaotic vibration where it's like you want to have it, but you kind of doing it, but what? I'm gonna try to do it, but you set an intention, but then you have a night that feels like violence, and you wake up and you feel like you was at war in your sleep. Listen, huh? Hey, hey, you like, it's, oh, I know it's mine. I know it's meant for me to have it. I know I'm supposed to do it, and I know I'm, oh, but you just can't seem to. Sweet thing, sweet thing, sweet thing, sweet, powerful thing. Let that pussy talk. Let her talk. Give her space. Listen, because she gonna wrangle you to death anyway. She gonna wrangle your ass. I already know what it look like. I already know what it look like. I know what it feel like. And as long as you in a body on this here green earth, you gonna have a pussy, right? So you deliberately give yourself to feel. And then you also do a level of projection, like, because when you make a decision, like whether you decide to come on the magic tour and meet myself and other magical melanin witches in the room, whether you decide to come into the arrogant witch community, whether you decide that this month is going to be the first month and you do 5,000 or 10,000 or 20,000 in your online transformational business, or you decide you're going to have this conversation, or you decide you're going to do something that's outside of your normal behavior or range or having, right? You haven't let yourself have this, you haven't let yourself have $10,000 a month yet. You haven't let yourself have the sexual experience that you haven't let yourself have, right? As soon as you say, yes, I'm going to allow myself to have it, just in advance, imagine that you're having the experience and let yourself feel all the way. You know that you're letting yourself have it when your clitoris starts to throb, when your vaginal walls start to get moistened, when your nipples harden, and you feel electricity moving through your body. You can do this in advance, darling. You can do this in advance. And I know some of us are addicted to struggle and doing things on our own. And look, if you want to keep doing that, you can do what you want to do at the end of the day, right? For those of you who would like to begin to gain comfort in your feminine ways and do it with other magical melanin witches who are looking to develop comfort in your feminine ways, intimacy, where we can talk freely and openly about pussy and nipples hardening and vaginal walls and what your cervix is doing and what you felt, what you're feeling as you're putting together this blog, this video, this podcast, this series. You're working with this client, putting this new price tag on your services, putting your first price tag on a service, putting together your first $10,000 package, like, and really getting into the intimacy of it. Because that, listen, you can do it. When you with us, that's what you're gonna do. If you're coming to Atlanta, July 29th, this is what we're getting into. We are getting into your rambunctious little girl. When you read the sales page, look, I tell you, if your rambunctious little girl shows up who likes to play and be naughty, if your shadow self show, not even if, but when, because they all show up when you start playing in the domain of full power. Your rambunctious little girl, your demon self, your shadow self, your beast self, your angry self, your benevolent self, your God self, all of those things start to rise when you're dealing in true power. And I ain't never been in a room where all of those were allowed to exist at the same damn time. This is exactly why I'm creating it. Listen, hey, listen, if you've been around, you already know, damn, Naima, I'm right. This is the itness. Like if you've been around, meaning you paid for a bunch of different retreats and coaching programs with Black, white, Indian, all kind of women. You've been doing that. You ain't new to this, right? I've been around, I already know. For Black women, not even just your average spiritual Black woman who loves to pull her tarot cards and do her meditation, and she knows the chakra system, and right, she knows the typical spiritual stuff that everybody else is doing, right? But for us Black sheep, I mean, full, listen, us weirdos, right? Who are coming into full power. Like, you need space. How many of you right now, somebody you can call on the phone who's fully aware of and wielding her demon self, her God self, her divine self, her evil self, her spiritual self, her sexual self at will to produce whatever results she wants to produce? It's public, right? Unapologetic, making the money she wishes to make or she's decided to make. That's why this is here. Another thing is, so I've been here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the last 2 weeks. The only reason why I did that is because some consulting I got talked about how YouTube shows favor to people, when you've been, anyway. So that's the only reason why I did Monday, Wednesday, Friday, was to gain favor from YouTube. Starting next week, I will only be here on Mondays. And frankly, The shift in your reality happens when you get into action, when you get into a container. Ooh, yes, right? Yes. When you get inside a structured environment with deliberateness. So I think I've shared how you know when you're coming into full power and what is necessary for you to do in your body to start to allow physiological truth to stream, and then let it out, let it show, then start aiming it for a very specific result. Money, man, some other material thing, a certain way of being. Yeah. So June 21st is when doors open for Arrogant Witch. So to be clear, the Magic Tour is in person exclusively. Okay. 6 cities starting in Atlanta, July 29th. The Arrogant Witch community is an online community. It's strictly online. And the doors open to that June 21st, which is not next Monday, but the following Monday. All right. So that's no matter where you are in the world. If Arrogant Witch speaks to you, there will be an application process sent to our email subscribers. And again, the link will be beneath this video for you to come into the email community. And that's where we will engage in the practices and the connection with each other and the truth telling and all the other nuance of coming into full power. We are pioneering the return to power for Magical Melanin Witches. The ways for us are not the ways of everyone else. They're not. The ways for us exist in a narrow, very specific way. Very specific way. And it's in you. That's the thing. It's in you, but you cannot access it if you're constricted. If you like this, even in the inside where we can't see it, if you're constricted, if you sit behind what people call doubt, if your decision making runs like this, well, maybe I don't know, see, because like if you find yourself thinking like that, I don't know if I can do that. Maybe now's not the time. I don't know. What did you know? What did you know like that? Like the practice, like the work that we do inside of the Arrogant Witch community is to get you to a smooth practice of being one with your demonic self. When I say demonic self, I mean your divine self, sweetness. I have an audio that I haven't even published to the world yet that talks specifically about folks reassessing what demonic, I mean, this is what I mean by religion is just tore up, folks. So to start to soften your insides, right? On a physiological level, soften the way you think. And here's the thing, you can still constrict at choice. This is not about just willy-nilly. But if your default is a tight, what about, I don't know if I can, what about, if I do this, then right? And I've been guilty of that. I know what that looks like. I mean, right? You're here on this dense ass earth in a body. It's hard, right? The world encourages you to be tight and afraid and to make normal friends, and you guys keep a certain set of unspoken rules in line by like policing each other silently and nonverbal ways to make sure you maintain this way that is like society says is the way to maintain. No, I'm looking for the wild ones. The wild ones. The ones that contain the medicine. The ones that have the electricity that's going to make Earth tilt just a smidgen in this lifetime. Because when Earth starts tilting, literally, I don't mean this in some area, I mean this literally, when Magical Melanin Witches come into full power. Listen, there is a different frequency that will move through planet Earth when Magical Melanin Witches are in full power and when everybody else is in full power. They are our children. Remember that. I don't care if they have studied the highest full spectrum of spirituality in India for the last 30 years. They are our children. Who we are and our power is so profound that we can barely stand it, as Monique Ruffin says. So, of course, if you at home by yourself trying to think it out and meditate it and all that, your ability to conjure power is limited. Of course, you're one body moving with the power that's in you, but you get into a room with 10 other Magical Melanin Witches, we will literally be in a different universe for that time that we're in that room. But what happens is being in that space on a physical level and having that experience physiologically, because you're actually in it, you're not thinking about it, you're in it, makes that when you do leave the room and you go home alone, that there's something for you to refer to, so you don't feel like, oh my God, this is too much. Can I? No, because you know it's not just you. You know it's you and others. So if you're ready for the conjuring and the coming out, oh, what a fucking relief too. What a relief when you allow all of yourself to show. It is such a freedom and a homeness when you allow all of you to come out. It's scary, and like in anticipation of it, it can be like, oh God, I don't know if I want people to see me and all that fullness. I don't know if I want people to see me like that. But guess what? If you're going to manifest anything, a material thing, a way of being, full power, people are going to see you anyway. Eventually, they're going to see you, especially if you're building a transformational business online and you're doing marketing videos and you're writing content and you're doing podcasts and you're contacting potential guests for your podcast and you're having enrollment conversations or you're writing for your sales page or you're hiring somebody. Your full self is it. Because to the degree that you don't allow your full self is the degree of your resistance. Did you catch that? The degree that you do not allow your full self is the exact degree to the fear and resistance that you will experience. So if we flip that on its head, that also means that when you allow your full self to show, that's when you have zero fear. I don't know what fearlessness looks like. You be in your full power. So that's my word for today. I'll be back here next Monday, same time. And Witch Naima with the Arrogant Witch Show. Thank you for being here. Please remember to like this video, subscribe, share, because it helps spread this to the internet. Eat this. Have a good weekend.